build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Oh, well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. Matty, I'm joined tonight by Charlie Banks on the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Good. Roasting. As always, we got a couple of years ago, you know, the cavity wall insulation
Aye.
in the house. It's a fucking exciting topic to start off with. I don't even care what I'm thinking about here. Anyway, since we've got that in, if it's a hot day outside, the house is just unbearable.
Aye.
So we sat the whole day with the back door open and the windows open, and you'd think that would negate the insulation, but apparently not. We've got fans in all the room. And
Aye, I've had to buy a fan for my room as well, mate. It's roasting.
It's brutal. We got the missus a while back for her birthday, one of these. Again, this sounds like a shite birthday present, but it's no. Do you know one of the Dyson fans?
Aye.
So I got her one of these, and it's an air purifier, but it's actually probably more of an air purifier than it is a fan. So it doesn't really cool you down too much, which is a shame because it wasn't cheap. Only you'll get a better one. What a good way to start the podcast, eh? Fucking hell. We're talking, so we've done our top five. So it's just, first of all, thank you very much for coming on.
No, of course, thanks for having us on. Me on. It was maybe both of us, but Calvin's at 5, so.
Better things to be doing. We've been doing the top 5 series over the course of the pre-season. So tonight we're going to be talking about top 5 players that we've seen at Easter Road. So not necessarily Hibs players. And it's interesting because my number one's a Hearts player.
Aye, mine isn't a Hibs player either.
It's not a Hearts player, by the way. I've not got any of them. They can fuck right off. They're not getting any top 5.
Maybe 5 worst players we've seen at Easter Road, but
even if the best player I had ever seen was a Hearts player, they wouldn't be getting acknowledged.
No, not at all.
They're not better or fuck all. But so what we'll do, Charlie, is if we start at number 5, we'll talk about your players, compare our lists, and then kind of work our way down to number 1. So who are you kicking off with?
I'm going to kick off with a Hibs player and is now a Celtic player. I'm going to kick off with Lee Griffiths. I started going to the games in 2003, and it was a good time being a Hibby with strikers like Riordan and that, but Griffiths is, I think, the best striker I've ever seen at Easter Road. So he makes a list purely on that fact, and just what a player he was. Could score for pretty much anywhere on the park, and you knew you were always in a game when he was playing. So he's number 5.
Number 5, and Griffiths obviously is well known for being a Hibs fan, and what's the diplomatic way to say this now? He's not got his troubles to seek at the minute. Is going on.
No,
probably the podcast isn't the place to touch on it, but if we focus on him purely as a footballer and a striker, so what was it in particular that you liked about Griffiths?
I think it was just the fact that, most derbies, we knew that if he got a shot, he was probably putting it on target, and just think he turned up in the big games when we needed him to turn up, and he's just, the game that strikes me is the 4-3 one against Falkirk, we're 3-0 down at half time, and it's just he was instrumental in us winning that game. So, a cracking player.
We talked about Griffiths when we were doing our top 5 strikers, and Griffiths featured. Actually, did they come into my top 5? And I don't know why I never put him in, because if I think about it, he probably should be in a top 5. The Falkirk game, he missed a penalty in that game.
He did. He did.
You forget because of how mental the game was and how it was going. You actually forget that Hibs got a penalty and missed it. And the rebound as well, mind him and Doyle going for it.
Oh, that's right. He went Radget Doyle. I totally forgot about that. That was mental.
Actually, I think we should have had a penalty first half in that game as well. We should Clancy was fouled, and the ref just ignored it, which is fairly standard for refs and Hibs. Are there any kind of memorable games other than the 4-3 that stick out for you for Griffiths, or memorable goals?
I think memorable game was the one where him and Caldwell scored at Tynecastle, That was my first game at Tynecastle. So what a way to start. And I've never seen us win at Tynecastle since. So good good record there. But that one, and then you'll maybe remember the game where we beat Celtic Christmas time around about 2012-13 time, and he rounded Fraser Forster, and it was almost at the corner flag that he scored from. And those two games in particular are ones that stand out for him.
He's one of these players that could hit the target from anywhere, pretty much. Mind him scoring at Tannadice.
Oh, that's right, aye.
Just an absolute raker. And it's funny when you see where it goes in, it almost goes in like in the middle of the goal.
Aye.
But it's like where he's hit it from, and he's got that much movement on the ball.
Aye.
I hope in hell
no.
saving it just flies in. And then I suppose you look at what he's done away from Hibs. I think he got 40 goals in a season for Celtic.
Aye, he's done well. And I know, I wish we'd bought him when we got offered him. Whether or not the fee is what it was meant to be, it's touted at something very low. But I wish we'd bought him. But cracking player.
Aye, and he got his free kicks against England as well.
Aye.
Which I must have been looking at. You gutted for him for everybody. I suppose that would ever ended up winning that game because I mean the two free kicks at that level with the quality he hit them were just fucking incredible.
Aye.
Probably outside another Hampden moment, which we're all too familiar with, behind you, it's probably the most mental I've seen Hampden gone.
Aye, it's up there for sure.
At that time. Okay, well, I went for Paul Gascoigne, my number 5, so I'm a wee bit older than you, I think, Charlie, but gone by the look of us. And I went Gascoigne signing for Rangers, and Gascoigne at the time, he was still like a household name. He wasn't like a star on the wane. Because sometimes, like now, Scottish football, you'll see, or when you see players who are really good coming to Scottish football, a lot of the times they've been elsewhere and they want to see out. Kind of like what's his face, the striker for Rangers that's just taking a player coaching deal.
Oh, Defoe.
Jermaine Defoe. Kind of players like that who are obviously a top level player, but his best days are long.
Oh, aye.
Gascoigne, when he went to Rangers, still had a fair bit of football in him.
Aye.
And he was brilliant. He's not had his troubles to CK. It's maybe a funny thing that we both picked players that maybe aren't quite, what you would describe as role models. But Gascoigne on the pitch was another level, and it always pains me because I've no love for the Rangers at all.
No.
But I could have watched Gascoigne over and over and over. He just did magic things about football.
Aye.
What a player he was. Okay, what about your number 4?
First player that's not a Hibs player on the list, and it's Peter Lovenkrands that was at Rangers. I think he was, when I started going to Easter Road, he was just about to move to Rangers. So when he came in, I think he was one that could score pretty much like Griffiths. If Rangers were needing a goal at Easter Road, they had a few good players back in the day, like Dado Purzo and that, but Lovenkrands was the one that scored more at Easter Road that I can remember. And I think he's an all-round nice guy as well, for what I've heard. So, really good player, and one I've loved watching at Easter Road the few times I saw him.
You something that came up, we've talked about Rangers players, and you sometimes wonder how they managed to afford to pay them.
Aye. Well, then you look at what happened to them a few years ago, and that's why they.
That's what happened. Lovenkrands is one of these players, and I don't know if it's like a Scandinavian thing, because it happened to Jan Molby when he went to Liverpool as well.
Aye, that's right.
But when they pick up the accent, so if you hear Lovenkrands talking, it doesn't sound. He was Danish, wasn't he, Lovenkrands?
Aye.
He doesn't sound Danish. He sounds more Glaswegian than Danish now. It's like a total Raj thing. Again, he scored some really important goals for Rangers. Cut final goals and.
Aye, that's true.
Significant goals in the title race and stuff. Fast as well. That was what I always remember.
Oh, he was rapid.
Total speed merchant. Although the first 3-0 game, the Sproul hat trick.
I would have been about that. Aye.
You see Scott Brown tearing past him. I think for the third goal. Second or third goal, actually maybe does Lovenkrands for pace. Scott Brown absolutely roasts him, and there's not many players went past Lovenkrands like that.
No,
he maybe just got turned or something. But were there any performances of that stick out for Lovenkrands that you remember?
Oh, it's hard to remember them because I was so young. I think the big thing that I remember about Livingston is just how good he was, and like you say, how fast he was. I think at a young age, watching someone who was rapid, we had Ivan Sproul at Hibs, and when Rangers came, it was always nice to see somebody on the opposing side who was as quick, if not quicker, than Sproul. So I can't really remember much of the games that he played against us, but I just remember him being class.
He was a good player. I went for this would be a cheap one. So it was players that we'd seen at Easter Road. I picked Alan Shearer, who made his debut for Blackburn against Hibs at Easter Road. Lost the game 3-0.
That's right.
Blackburn lost it. Hibs won it 3-0. And what I remember about that, so he'd signed, I think Blackburn had paid a record fee for him.
Aye, that's right.
And on the terrace, people were singing, "What a waste of money." And I'm sure it was that season or the season after. Then Blackburn went on to win the title. There was him and Chris Sutton up front for him, the SAS as they were known. And Shearer, just what a striker he was. He was one of these players that again scored. He was a great goal scorer and a scorer of great goals. Another one of these players, he had an absolute rocket at a shot. See, when he took a penalty, he's one of these players that just laces through it, didn't think twice, he just run up, absolutely smashed it. Even if he had a tap in, he'd smash it. Just every time he took a shot, it seemed to be that he did it as hard as he could. He had a wee bit of a nasty streak to him as well, didn't he, Shearer? He had
that's right.
A few run-ins with Roy Keane. Neil Lennon as well. I should have kicked Neil Lennon in the head.
That's right, he did when Lennon was Leicester.
Which isn't very nice of him, I suppose. We should probably condone that kind of thing.
No, definitely not.
But he was. I think there's only just now that players are starting to kind of catch up with the records that he set as a striker.
That's right. There's a few close to it now.
But obviously, could he do it on a wet Wednesday night at Easter Road?
That's true.
So, so what about your number 3?
Number 3 is the best centre-back I've ever seen at Easter Road. It's Virgil van Dijk when he was at Celtic. What a player. You knew, or at least I knew as soon as first time I seen him at Easter Road that he was going to be one of the best defenders in the world. And I think it was just how calm he was on the ball, and he could take the ball from for the keeper to the midfield, or, there's been occasions, the one that St Johnstone comes to mind, where he could score when he gets the ball. So he was an all-round class defender, and we never really got past him that easily when we were up against him.
No, not many people do.
No.
It's a funny thing with Van Dijk, because now you mention it, I think I probably should have included him, because he's pretty much, what would you say, probably the best defender in the world at the moment?
Yeah, I would say he's up there, aye.
Can't be far off it, but when he's not injured, obviously.
Aye.
The Italian centre-halves might be something to say about that now. But Van Dijk, I think you could see he was a good player. I don't think I ever expected him to go on to have the career that he's had, though. What did Liverpool pay for him?
75 million, which was a record fee at the time, but Harry Maguire's broken that now, so
that's meant to way.
Aye.
You can't who got a better deal with that one.
Aye.
So Van Dijk went to Celtic. How long was he there? Was it a couple of seasons or just a season?
3 years, I think he was at Celtic, and then Southampton for 2, and then Liverpool got him. And he's never looked back since he left Celtic, really.
He was really like a proper classy footballer, wasn't he? Like a bit of everything. Speed, power.
Aye.
Can head the ball. Good range of passing. Can
strike a ball as well.
Yeah. Comfortable taking it in tight positions. Dribbling out of defence. He's a really, really impressive centre-half. I'm trying to think who his nearest equivalent would be. Who else do you think is at that kind of level or plays like him?
It's hard. There's not a lot of players that have that all-round game at centre-back like Van Dijk does. He's been dubbed as like the new Sergio Ramos kind of player with a big name, but I think Van Dijk's better than Ramos already. Ruben Diaz is probably his closest counterpart, but I think Diaz is a few seasons off that yet. But there's not a lot of players like Van Dijk, I would say.
I thought you were going to throw in Kirk Broadfoot. That was the name that sprung to mind immediately. What's his face? The boy at Heart says Suter. They talk about him like he's fucking Van Dijk.
Oh, aye.
Fucking pish. I think with Van Dijk, you can see how good a player he is with the impact it had on Liverpool when he was missing last season.
Aye,
Liverpool
definitely.
went for being a team that won pretty much every game. Do you know, the Champions England, Champions League winners, they just strolled through games, they get injured, and then the whole season kind of collapsed, which was
definitely
a bit of a worry for them, but
I
didn't care. I'm not a Liverpool fan. Cool. So Van Dijk, that's a really good shout. I'm kind of regretting that I've not put him in, given how good a player he's turned out to be. So my number 3 wasn't so much like a great player, but he put in probably one of the best individual performances I've ever seen for a player at Easter Road. It was Craig Bellamy.
He was one that I never put on my list, but I can see why you'd put him.
He was. We had an episode where one of the questions we got asked was about who was like the biggest shithouser.
I remember that one.
And I think we struggled for names, but Bellamy was definitely up there. I'm sure he had a go at a Ross County player telling him they paid his gardener more than he was getting and stuff like that. But
I think was there not a game at Easter Road where he was getting on everyone's goat?
It's quite possibly the one that I'm thinking of. So I was in hospitality for this game. My wife had got me as a present. Hungover to fuck, right? Totally ruined the day. But Bellamy in that game was just... It was like he was playing a different sport for everybody else. He had the pace. I'm sure he scored a couple of goals. Just nobody could get near him. And you know, sometimes you see a player who knows they're having a game like that, and they just try things that maybe they wouldn't normally try or whatever. Bellamy just had a game like that, and he was absolutely incredible. That it's no often an opponent will have a game at Easter Road where I think, fucking hell, however many years later, it must be, what came out, 17, 18 years later, 16 years later, it still stands out as one of the best performances I've seen from an opponent at Easter Road. He had the necro, kind of like Sandy talks about, which puts me off him a wee bit, but he was who I put as number 3. I didn't think his performance there was high enough to, or was good enough to elevate him above that. Probably in retrospect, I shouldn't have put him ahead of Gascoigne, who was kind of consistently good, but fuck it, that's what I did. So Bellamy number 3. What about number 2?
Number 2 is John McGinn. And I think it's self-explanatory why he's on the list. You know, how good a player was John McGinn at Hibs. And even before that, when he was with St Mirren, when they played, I think he played a few games at Easter Road, and he was just a class above it at a young age. And what a player! My favourite ever Hibs player. And just brilliant to see that he's went on to have the career he's had at Aston Villa, and hopefully we make a few buck on him in a few months' time. If he goes this summer.
Fingers crossed. Actually, you see the report say like Villa looking for 50 million from rubbing your hands. I didn't mind wanting him sold now. I kind of didn't want him sold when he played for Hibs, but now totally. We'll get a fee and it's good. What made him your favourite player, Charlie?
I think I've been asked this a few times, especially on our podcast. I think it was just how he could turn a bog standard attack into one that's either we're going to score from or we're going to get a corner from. I think he was just very, very attack minded every time he got the ball, and he wasn't scared to put in a tackle as well if he needed to, and just brilliant. I've not heard a bad word said about him ever for any Hibs fan, and quite rightly so as well.
There was an interview. I think it was with I'll try to remember what it was. Graham Hunter. On a podcast now, I should slate other podcasts when you're doing it. Right? This boy Graham Hunter, I can't. He gets brilliant guests on his podcast, right? Some proper quality guests, but he's the most sycophantic interviewer. You can imagine, like he pretty much does the interview from as far inside the person's arse as he can get. And it put me off. But one of the things he talks to McGinn about was his move away from Hibs and how. He was obviously Celtic was sniffing around, and McGinn, boyhood Celtic fan, there's a big family connection with Celtic and everything. And he wanted to go, but Celtic didn't come in with the money, And rather than force the issue, because he had such a good relationship with Hibs, he just let it play out. So he didn't go tapping on the manager's door, demanding the move, or making life difficult. And then when Villa came in, he says he went down to Villa Park and he went into the dressing room and had his shirt up on the dressing room wall with his number on it already, his name on, and they made him feel right at home. And obviously Villa paid what Hibs were looking for. So he made the move, and obviously he's no look back. I think it's been a great move for him.
Oh, aye.
I think that speaks volumes for John McGinn. You mentioned about folk did have a bad word to say about him. Having that, the forethought to think, I didn't want to spoil my relationship with the clubs that I've been at. I've got a good relationship at Hibs, total legend at Easter Road, and he moved with everybody's best wishes. I think any Hibs fan resented him that move. I think everybody was kind of like just delighted to see him progress. Well, what games stick out for you for McGinn?
The St Johnstone semi-final at Tynecastle is one of them. Just when it looked like, we won that in normal time, it didn't go extra time. I think it was just, before he scored, it was like, God, St Johnstone are on top here. They might nick it, or it might go to extra time and just bang it in nowhere. And here comes the goal. And I think his all-round performance that day was class. He was just brilliant. And the other one that jumps out is when we won in Greece, when he scored. The way he took his goal, great. And the celebrations in the stand afterwards were mental. Those are the two. Obviously, the one behind me, the cup final as well. He was instrumental in the first goal. So, those three, especially for myself.
He's a player I absolutely loved watching. I remember he come back from an injury, so he'd been out for a wee while, and he came back. It was Dundee United at Easter Road. They made his comeback. He came off the bench quite late on and took the ball on the left-hand side and just kind of drove almost along the touchline. And I think he maybe nutmegged the keeper to score. But he just took the roof off the place with the celebration after that as well, because everybody was like buzzing to see him back. When he scored like that, it was just incredible. He had that wee bit. I could talk about John McGinn all night, by the way. I absolutely loved him as a player. Obviously, his arse, right? But he had that strength and that tenacity that he just never ever looked like he he was beaten, and he would just dig in and dig in. And I think everybody took a lift from it. We talk about leaders, like who are the leaders on the pitch.
That's a big thing we talk about as well.
And it's not the folk shouting or anything like that. You get a John McGinn in your team, and he leads by example. Like he'll fire into a tackle or get a shot away, like you say, can dig a goal out of nowhere, or just do something fucking good. Score a big run in the wing or through the middle or wherever he's playing. And you can see the impact he's had on Scotland. So I can't remember if it was on the podcast we were talking about it. You kind of players special when teams that he's a part of achieve success. So McGinn, League Cup with St Mirren, right? No many folk have won a cup with St Mirren.
No.
Scottish Cup with Hibs. Now, no many folk, as we know, have won a
Scottish Cup with Hibs. No, that's right.
Goes down to Villa, gets them promoted through the playoffs, scoring the goal in the final to get that, and then Villa going to have like a really strong season after that. Scotland, it gets regular in the national team. We qualify for a major tournament for the first time in however, and it's obviously not all down to McGinn, but he's a significant part of it. I think that's a measure of how good a player John McGinn is.
Oh, totally.
I could. I'm sure we could actually do a full podcast just on.
Easily.
Standing. My number 2 is Brian Laudrup. Again, going for another Rangers player, which sticks in the craw, but Laudrup. So I was quite wee still when Laudrup played for Rangers, and what I remember about him is he was like a proper class act. Gentleman off the pitch. He was always. You never heard anything again. Nothing bad said about him that I remember. And he wasn't shagging around or involved in sectarian stuff, or at least no publicly. He conducted himself well. He didn't go. I remember him getting kind of sent off or kicking folk on the pitch. Didn't seem to be a bad one for diving. But he was an incredible footballer, like above anything else. He would be one of these players that would just kind of glide
Aye.
along the pitch with the ball at his feet and mesmerise people, and he could score goals, but his ability to assist goals was incredible as well. And Rangers at the time were good in Europe as well. You know,
That's right,
they had players at that level, and Laudrup never ever looked out of place. He could have played pretty much for any team in Europe, I reckon.
Aye.
When he was at Rangers, he was a very, very, very special player. Glad we didn't have to face him now.
Oh, aye.
I'm sure there was a game at Easter Road where Rangers got a penalty and Laudrup took it. Leighton was in goals, and I think, now get the order right, I think Laudrup missed the first one. The referee orders a retake, and I think Leighton saved the second one. the retake, and that's probably a measure how good Jim Leighton was. But
Aye.
Laudrup was just an incredible footballer, absolutely incredible. One that there's a few footballers that in your life, if you get to see them, you feel quite privileged.
Aye.
And Laudrup was one of them. Right, number one. Who's your best player that you've seen at Easter Road?
It's Henrik Larsson by a country mile. He's what a player. I think he's probably the most gifted striker I've ever seen Easter Road. I think it's like Laudrup. I think he's one of these players that I'm sort of blessed that I've got to see a player like that at Easter Road. Can you see him when he's played for Barcelona and Man United after Celtic? Like that, he must be special to go on to those teams. What a signing for Celtic, and what a player he was.
Held in very high regard at Barcelona as well, and Man United. I think should have won the league when he went to.
Aye, he did, and then he won the Champions League with Barca as well.
Aye, which is mental. You know, you think. I suppose where you give him a lot of respect is how long he stayed at Celtic.
Aye, that's right.
Because those clubs would have been sniffing around him for a long, long time, and it would have been easy for him to go and move.
Aye,
but he was obviously very, very much loved at the Celtic. I've got him as my number one as well. By the way, I think he was just. Like you say, the measure of him when you see the clubs that he went on to play for and the success that he enjoyed there, and again seemed like a really nice guy.
Aye,
you hear him.
Aye,
having a bad word to say about folk.
Aye, I was the mascot the day we came and beat them in the League Cup, and then we beat Rangers and I was the mascot that day, and he came over when I went into the players' lounge before the game and took me around on the Celtic team, introducing me to them all. So he was a good lad to meet, and brilliant player as well. And there was one game, it was the first time I'd seen Celtic ever in 2004, the season after I started going. They beat us 4-0 and he scored twice. And I was like, that is a special player. I think I was 6 or 7 and just could tell for that age how good he was. And what a talent.
He was one of these players that came on top of Laudrup where he could glide across the pitch. Larsson was similar, but he seemed to just caress the ball with his foot. It sounds like a stupid thing to say, right? But one of the goals that sticks in my mind, so Celtic beat Rangers 6-2.
That's right.
And so for that game, I was down at the Reading Festival that weekend.
Right.
So we had found a pub, because I think it was an afternoon kickoff. I can't remember if it was a Saturday or a Sunday. Funny story about this. I said funny story, right? Just before we'd gone down, I've got a new pair of glasses, right? So normally I wear glasses, but we've been got lenses for years now. But back then I had glasses and I'd paid fucking loads for this Calvin Klein pair, right? Back when I was young and would spend loads of money on stuff like this. So we've gone down, maybe had them a week, 2 weeks. And the Friday night at Reading, Primal Scream are playing. Me and my mate were like, go down the front, right? Let's see Primal Scream. So we're down the front and some fuckers come crowd surfing and their foot's knocked my glasses off. And because we're right at the front, they're just going, I mean, that's it. They're on the ground, trampled to fuck somewhere. So I'm short-sighted. So for the rest of the festival, I had to kind of go to the front for all the gigs. So we could see what was going on. But the Reading Festival is brilliant where it's situated because you can just go out of the site and then go and find a pub. And if there's nothing doing, you can go to town, find a pub, get something nice to eat, a few pints, and then go back in. A bit cheaper drinking in the city centre as in the festival site as well. So we found this pub, and if I remember right, it was right on a kind of riverside. Pretty busy, but we'd gone in, got seats right next to the TV to watch the game. And Larsson chipped. Sure,
that's right. Aye.
But but he'd nutmegged the defender first, and then, like I say, just it was like a pitching wedge.
Aye.
The golfer just thinked it over him, and it was one of the calmest, coolest, best goals I've ever seen. For
Aye.
obviously a team that have no affection for him, no, and can by any stretch of the imagination fond of Celtic,
No.
but he was incredible as a player. And that game particularly, he tore Rangers apart. I mean,
Aye.
they didn't really know what had hit them.
No.
I
No.
can't mind if that was Rickson's first game. And if he got taken off at half time.
It rings a bell. It rings a bell that he's one of his first games, aye.
I can't mind who the wing was. It Bobby Petter? He played for Celtic?
Aye, he would have that day, aye.
I think he just roasted. I think I've got it right. I think it was Rickson that played. I'm sure he got taken off at half time because he was getting such a torrid time. Absolutely torrid time. But Larsson, incredible. When he took Celtic to to a European final as well. Do you know?
Aye.
They played. It was Mourinho's Porto.
Porto, aye.
I was down in York with the missus. We just got away for a few nights, just to get away. I think she was pregnant with Josh at the time, and we watched that in the hotel bar. It's the first time I think I've ever felt sorry for Celtic because Porto just fucking cheated the whole game.
Oh, aye.
It's hilarious because it happened to Celtic, but
aye.
That was Mourinho's first major trophy, I think, as well, wasn't it? Like
that's right, aye.
European trophy.
Aye. I'm sure. Did they not win the Champions League the year after as well?
They did. I'm sure the year after was when he did the touchline run down.
Aye, that's right. Aye.
Some boy, big Josie, like the kids out of trophy.
Oh, aye.
But Larsson again was another one that, and he did play for two of the best teams in the planet.
Aye.
And Celtic, but he could have gone anywhere in his career, and not only held his own, but been a key player in anything.
Aye. Oh, totally.
He was absolutely genius. So that's our top five. Is there any other players that you would chuck a special mention in for?
There was four that I left off the list. One is Michael Essien, but he played for Ghana against South Korea, so I'm like, it's not really he's not really played for against Hibs or whatever. And same way like Robert Pires and Vieira, I was like, it's a bit unfair when they've only played Ian Murray's testimonial, aye. So I left him, and Wayne Rooney as well, but it was his debut, so it was was it his debut?
It was. He should have played his debut.
Aye, there's them, and then you could have had Ronaldinho in that when they played at Murrayfield, but it's no Easter Road. But there's a few that we could have spent at least 4 hours talking about all the good players that have been at Easter Road.
Aye, and the thing is, it was trying not to make it a total old firm loving.
Oh, aye.
Like fuck, But I suppose you could look at it done again when I showed my age. We had Caniggia and Ravanelli, Dundee,
aye,
and they were pretty good players. I think other players like you had Arteta, Mike Arteta,
at Rangers. I'm surprised that Soze and Latipe were on your list.
Well, I went for because we've done top fives with Hibs players already. I thought I would try not to think of Hibs players in it because I'm fickle as fuck. I would just put them all Hibs players.
Aye,
like that's my list. Have that. So, I was like, I'll try not to put any Hibs in it. I definitely, if I was putting Hibs players in, Soze and Latipe would definitely be included.
Aye,
and I would have put McGinn in that bracket as well.
Aye,
just doesn't really need said again. He's an incredible player.
Aye.
So that's a really good top five. Good that we picked the same number one as well.
Aye.
How are you feeling about the season coming up? Just before we wrap up.
I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. I think we've not really. I know the window's only been open not that long, but I thought we would have made a few more signings than we've already made. But the two we've brought in, though, I'm very happy with Mackay and Doyle Hayes. I think, did you see all the abuse no abuse, but all the negativity that Doyle Hayes got when he signed? Like, come on, fuck.
So, notwithstanding, Hibs sometimes get it wrong, right? So there's sometimes that you think you can see why folk have reacted negatively on tonight, but there are definitely times you think Hibs could go, we're giving away £100 and a blowjob to everybody that buys a season ticket. And folk would go, fucking Raja with it, just for the sake of it. But I think what was it? It was the fact that they kind of strung out the announcement over 3 days and they were doing me
Aye,
and everything.
aye.
Somebody made a good point. Like, see if you've got something to sell, you do
Mhm.
that way. You promote it, don't you?
Aye.
You want to build a bit of excitement about a player. Then that's what you would do. You would say, oh, look,
Aye.
we're really happy we brought this player in. This is a good thing for us. You wouldn't want to just go, by the way, we've signed this boy.
Aye.
Kim, here's our next corporate sponsorship. Look,
Aye.
you want to kind of milk the good stuff. So
You must wonder if Daniel Mackay's would be like, where's my sort of fanfare? But
he sort of fell between the gaps.
Aye.
We didn't have the proper media team in place. You going tomorrow night to the Arsenal game?
No, I've not got a season ticket. I've just recently moved to Stirling, so it's a bit difficult to get back and forward. So I'm going on Friday, though. I'm going to Rafe. Me and Calvin will be there, so it'll be nice. It'll be my first game since Livingston back in February last year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking. My son's working, so just one of these things. My son's a goalkeeper coach.
All right,
and so he's doing that until he's going to do like a football management course in Napier after the summer. But it's up in Glenrothes. So
aye.
On a Tuesday night, coming from Glenrothes or Kirkcaldy, Glenrothes. But it's because it's a 6 o'clock kickoff. So if it being
aye,
no bother, I could go and take him, get him sorted for a left back.
Aye.
The game. But I was surprised at the price. Did they come what your views were on that?
It's a bit cheeky, isn't it, when we've got the Europa League or Europa Conference League in a few weeks' time, and especially after the year we've just had. Ken, like, thanks for your support. Here's 26 quid you need to fork out for. But I'm no bitter in the slightest, honest.
Well, we got in touch with Greg McEwen.
Oh, aye.
3 weeks I dropped him a wee message and he was kind enough to give me a call back. So we didn't record it, but he sort of said it was okay to talk about some of the stuff that we discussed on here, because really the purpose of the call was to say what's going on, Ken, with the 26 quid. So the first thing we'd asked him about was the attendance and the limit to 2,000.
Aye.
So Hibs had applied for 5,600, and at the time we applied for it, I think I'll try to do this off of memory, right? So if I get a couple of wee details wrong, folk will need to forgive me. Right, I've got a fucking shite memory. Right? 500 people you could have in with no questions asked. You didn't need any approval.
Aye.
If it was above 5,000, or for between 500 and 5,000, you needed the council's authority.
Right.
And anything above 5,000, you needed the council and the government.
Right.
So Hibs went 5,600, put the proposal together. We could do it with 2 metre distancing in the stadium, sent it in. While the application was in, they got a message from the steering group. What are they called again? Is it just kind of the ones that the joint response group? That's
aye.
Saying goalposts have changed. 2,000 maximum is what you can have. So not just Hibs. You see Hearts game.
Aye, that's right.
2,000. Rangers are playing
Real Madrid and Arsenal.
Aye. So is Arsenal they play on Saturday?
Aye, Arsenal on Saturday, aye.
2,000 capped at Celtic are capped at 2,000 for their games. So it's not just Hibs, right across the board until the 19th of July.
Aye.
Is when they're going to review it. So games up to and including that point, 2,000 max. So that was the first thing I asked. Then I asked if we were due Arsenal a fee, because this was another rumour to say we're only charging 26 quid because we have to pay Arsenal for the game.
Aye.
So we're not due them a fee, but there is an arrangement in place. I can't go into all the specifics, because I can't remember, but also Greg said, this is kind of commercially sensitive, but probably the best analogy would be, can you use like the sort of arrangement you get with a cup game?
Right.
It's like that. So there's a bit of a share of the money that comes in. So that's how they arranged that. Arsenal wouldn't be able to kind of play anybody else because it's cup games. Because of the date that they wanted to play, we were probably the best show in town for them. So it worked out quite favourably for us. So there was that. And then I asked about the 26 quid. And basically what Greg said is the main thing that's driving that is the cost of putting the game on. So if we'd had fewer fans in, we could have just kept the one stand, didn't need as many stewards.
Oh, that's right, aye, because we need 2 stands, eh?
Aye, no as much needing done for deep cleaning the place and getting it set up for folk coming in and out the stadium to keep it COVID compliant. as it is for the 2,000 people, he said the cost is about the same as when we host an Old Firm game
Wow.
for putting it on. 150 stewards, I think, are getting taken on, and then you've got the cleaning and that on top. So I was dead critical of the 26 quid when I first saw it.
Oh, so was I.
Fuck's sake, you know.
Aye.
Probably less critical of it now. I still, in personal opinion, still think probably you could take a few quid off of that.
Aye.
But it is what it is. They've sold the 2,000.
Aye.
I can understand why they couldn't do it a lot cheaper than that. So,
Aye.
and I suppose thanks for Greg as well for kind of answering the questions, because he didn't. He could have just tell us to.
Aye. Aye.
He was good enough to pick up the phone and talk me through it. How do you think we'll get on against them?
I think it'll be a good game. I read an article in the Scotsman yesterday that Aubameyang and Lacazette have travelled, so they'll probably be up front for them. So that'll be. I'll probably buy on Hibs TV to watch them. Like, but I mean, it really depends on if it's just them or their biggest players, because there's they could put the young boys out, but no, I think it'll be a good game. Hibs will need to be sharp because we've got a European game soon, so this is a perfect opportunity for getting Mark's sharpness back up. So looking forward to watching it.
You just hope it's no like I know that Arsenal are anywhere close to Barcelona.
Aye.
You hope it doesn't go like that game goes.
Aye.
Like kind of a total golf and class.
Aye.
I think the stage that we're at in pre-season compared to where Arsenal will be might stand us in.
Aye.
And they'll probably underestimate us. Know that the results important anyway. Can pre-season count for fuck all?
No. Well, did you see all the outrage after we got beat off Accrington Stanley? Like, come on.
Mental.
Aye, and then we
some
get
of it was tongue in cheek, but
aye,
but no, all of it.
No, then we get a good result against Stoke, but then there's complaints on Macy should have done better by the goal. Like, who actually gives a fuck about a pre-season game?
I know. It was a good goal that Scotty Allen scored to win it.
It was good to see him back, like a brand new signing, eh?
Aye, that's actually a good point. You've got Scott Allen coming back, but we've not lost anybody really.
Nah.
For Marciano.
Aye, that's true.
It'd be interesting to see, like, if we go into the new season with more or less the same squad that finished last season. That would be it's not the most exciting thing, because normally you want a bit of turnover, so you get excited about signings coming in. But if we keep what we have and then add a couple to it like we've done, that's probably not a bad position to be in.
No, I think that we're probably in a stronger position than, well, Hearts are going to struggle, I think. Aberdeen, they've brought in a few older boys, which could be good for them, but who else is around about us that's really strengthened?
I mean, this is the thing. I'm not great at following the rest of Scottish football.
No, me too.
Got to keep an eye on Hibs, but there's no been any signings that have made me take notice.
Nah.
Thinking who Hearts are. I don't really care who Hearts. I think Hearts are shite. This is my theory on Hearts, is that they're shite, but I also think they'll probably start off really well, have people thinking they're a decent team, and then fade away, because that's what they do. But I always get confident when I talk about them, and then it bites me in the arse. So I about it. But I think we probably need cover at left back and right back now that we've not got Gray.
Aye, and probably one more centre back is what I would think.
Aye,
because McGregor's on his last leg. Surely, if Gray's just retired, McGregor will not be far behind him.
I think McGregor's older than Gray as well, isn't he?
Aye.
So, although I saw him kind of leading the team out against.
That's
Stoke.
right. Stoke, aye.
Still looks in good nick. Like,
I
wish I looked like that when I was his age. I think we need a striker as well. I think we're short. I think we were short a striker last season.
Ken, there was talks that we're getting Griffiths, but he obviously signed a new deal at Celtic, and it's probably best we didn't speak about what's going on there now, like they said. But I didn't think he'll be used if Celtic want Nisbet. I didn't think he'll use him as a.
I don't think Hibs would go near him.
Nah.
Which is it's a shame, because a non-issue Griffiths would have been a great sign.
Aye,
but you wouldn't go near him now.
No.
Obviously innocent until proven guilty and all that kind of thing as well, which we should say he's only been accused of stuff.
Aye.
At this stage, we went to the development squads game against Civil Service, and the boy O'Connor, he looked very good.
Aye, Calvin was down at Dunbar. Was it last week we played them?
Aye.
And he was saying that O'Connor didn't look that great.
Nah.
But I've heard mixed reviews about him. It was good to see that he scored a hat trick. And I think he's got a bit of his dad about him, big bullish boy, and will throw his weight about and that. So
he's very quick as well.
Aye,
that's what I noticed. He looked above that level anyway. Like if there's maybe a chance of breaking through this season.
I hope so. Hope him and Jamie Gullen and boys like that get a shot.
Aye, fingers crossed.
Aye, totally.
Right, well, this is more or less out of time, Charlie. Thanks very much for coming on. Enjoyed listening to your top 5. It's been good.
Aye, you too, mate. Cheers for having me on.
And when's next Strong Opinion Hibs out?
It'll be this week at some point. We need to work out what we're speaking about. We've had a few messages here and there, so we'll see what comes out.
Good stuff. Look forward to it. And I'd encourage everybody else to look out for it as well. Right, that's all we've got time for. We're back on Thursday with short bangers, so watch out for the tweet on Wednesday asking for your questions and get them sent in. Until then, we'll see you later.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.